The first Spider-Verse movie was a triumph of animation. Beautiful to watch, with a sharp script and a great soundtrack. It's no wonder they gave it 2 sequels. And by focusing on Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker, it felt new and fresh, even to those of us who'd seen all of the live-action Spider-Man movies. And this sequel is really more of the same, with more incredible animation and a huge cast of Spider-Man variant characters. Its only possible flaws are the villain and the ending, but we'll get to that. While the first movie was all about Miles Morales becoming Spider-Man and learning to use his powers, in this one he's fully in control of his abilities. And he's doing a pretty good job being a superhero, but he still struggles with having to lie to his parents. As in the first movie, Shameik Moore is hugely likeable as the voice of Miles, and really makes you feel for the character at all times. Meanwhile, Spider-Gwen, voiced by Hailey Steinfeld, finds herself travelling the multiverse as part of the Spider Society. And this time around the 2 characters do have pretty much equal screen time, so you could say that they're the co-leads, which certainly makes things interesting. While the first movie only had a handful of Spider-Man variants, this one features dozens, if not hundreds. Most are only briefly glimpsed, with brief cameos from Spider-Cat and Spider-Dinosaur. There's also some fun scenes in Lego, and even the occasional live-action cameo, which are a lot of fun, so I won't spoil them. But my favourite of them all is possibly Spider-Punk, voiced by Daniel Kaluuya, a British Spider-Man who's out to destroy capitalism. He has many of the best lines, but they will probably go completely over the heads of all the children watching. As before, this movie is an absolute visual spectacular. Every frame packed full of detail and full of vibrant colours. I suspect it will take several viewings to really take it all in. This time round we get to visit several different universes, all with their own unique visual style. Gwen's universe is particularly striking, with every frame looking like it's been painted by hand. And we also get some stunning sequences in a Bollywood-inspired Indian-style city. The villain of the piece is rather surprising. Spider-Man has one of the best rogues gallery in comics, second only to Batman. But rather than use any of them, they've instead gone with the Spot, who I had never heard of before, and I read a lot of comics. I guess it makes sense, given the theme of the multiverse travelling, to use a villain who's covered in portals. But in practice he works kind of like a variation of the X-Men's Nightcrawler, popping in and out of portals to appear and disappear anywhere he likes. It's fun to watch, but he never really feels like a major threat. Certainly not one who would occupy the hero for 2 entire movies. This is even lampshaded in the script, as the Spot's whole motivation is to become powerful enough for Miles to take him seriously as a villain. But he will need a major upgrade to feel threatening in the sequel. I would have expected a whole team of multiversal variants of Spider-Man villains to be a threat big enough to face off against the entire Spider Society. Sinister 600, if you will. Maybe they'll do that in the 3rd movie, but so far there's no hint of that happening. The structure of the movie is also rather unusual, as the big action sequence turns out to be Miles' escape from the Spider Society. And everything after that is just setting up the sequel. I was expecting a final battle with a Spot before the end, but they went in a different direction. I guess that's a good thing. After so many formulaic superhero movies, it's quite refreshing to have one where the story actually surprises you. But it does end at quite an abrupt and arbitrary point, and we'll have to wait until next April to find out how the story ends. But I will definitely be wanting to watch this again before then. Apart from the beauty of the animation, I'm sure there's countless Easter eggs and background details in there, which are just impossible to spot the first time round. Overall, it's at least as good as Into the Spider-Verse, and in many ways an improvement. But the lack of resolution for the story does make it a much less satisfying viewing experience. It's also well over 2 hours long, which may be too long for younger children to sit through. But if you go in expecting part 1 of 2, you won't be disappointed. It's an absolute triumph. Well, that's my review. The next movie I'll be seeing is The Flash, which sounds like it has a very similar storyline to this one, only in live action this time. Of course, this could also feature the Lego universe, which would tie the 2 stories together. So subscribe if you want to see my review of that, and I'll see you next time.